When I was younger, believe it or not, I was not really the kind of person to stand up for myself. I would let others walk over me all the time, at school, with the family members, and more specifically in any kind of romantic relationship. I would always let her have the edge about everything and never really allowing myself to say clearly what I wanted to say, as it should be the case in any healthy relationship. As I look back on it today, I think the main cause for that was I was always trying to please at all costs. Whenever somebody was getting angry, I was trying to make amends right away, but without really expressing what I was thinking or feeling at that moment. There is even a book called Toxic Positivity that I did not read, but I think it is a great title. When you always try to be nice and be polite with everyone, but you never really question yourself on, am I okay with the situation at hand right here? Am I okay with that person treating me in this way? And when we are too focused on making others happy while sacrificing ourselves in the process, we may completely ignore what we truly need. And sometimes we do need also to make others understand their behavior is not right at all. Now, if we make a quantum leap up to today, the way I can handle my relationships and any kind of interaction today, I would say I can alleviate any sort of conflict even before it starts, because I target the right element into the psychology of that person I am interacting with or into the discussion at hand. I target the exact right element to avoid losing myself and losing all of us on the surface. Instead of arguing on surface details, I go right at the core of what the problem is, and I am not really afraid anymore of appearing confrontational or having a lack of manners for a few seconds just to make a point. I can always obviously climb back and step back and be nice and polite whenever I sense the person is starting to be more agreeable again, but I'm not afraid anymore of appearing like a douchebag for 2 seconds just to make the person understand there are some limits to not cross with me. And for sure, I do think it is more pleasant to do that in a non-confrontational way, to use clever language skills instead of brutally attacking somebody. I don't really like to brutalizing people. I don't really think it is an efficient way of communicating, no matter what the situation is. I prefer soft talking and de-escalating any conflict in a soft way by using some clever language patterns instead of attacking somebody on their wounds or vulnerabilities. But the root cause behind all of that, before anyone can be able to use language patterns in such a way that they will command respect easily, the initial cause before all of that is to clarify, at least the way I did, to clarify your boundaries. What are the things you don't tolerate at all? Or how many things do you currently right now tolerate in your life, in your relationships, that when you think about it, you don't really think it is right to tolerate and accept that people treat you in this way, in that way, when they insult you, when they tell you this. Maybe some things you accept because you're afraid of conflicts, whereas you definitely don't wish to accept that. If you were witnessing somebody else going through the same situation, you would maybe even get triggered and angry, and you would want to tell that person to stand up for themselves. But when it is your turn, curiously, you're not doing it. This is coming down to a process of eliciting your own boundaries in any relationship and figuring out how far do you currently allow others to go with you, and where honestly would you like to put the limit, to place the limit so that people don't cross that line anymore, and you can exude that even non-verbally very easily, because they will sense there is a limit not to cross with you. As a consequence, when you have good boundaries and you know how to respect yourself, and other people will respect you much more in turn because of your own non-verbal, because of the way you communicate, coming from that place of self-love, self-acceptance, self-respect, then you will notice your mind is getting more free and is drifting toward new maybe bolder options in life. Maybe so far you were not allowing yourself to aim for this goal or that type of relationship. For example, I have always been polyamorous, but in the beginning I was not allowing myself to say it clearly, led to many conflicts. And from the moment I allowed myself to say it right off the bat to any woman I was meeting, things started to get extremely easy because I was saying it up front. But when you don't know your boundaries and what you really want, it is difficult to communicate that easily to somebody else. So once you respect your own boundaries much more, and once you have elicited what you truly want from the inside, then your mind will naturally want to explore more things that are maybe even more congruent with who you are and who you want to become. Once all of that is assembled together from the inside, then your language skills can be altered and can be changed in a deep, more powerful way, I would say. Because some people just try to memorize language patterns and try to replicate them like this, and it's like a 50-50, sometimes it will work, sometimes not that much. But if any language pattern doesn't really work on somebody, whether you want to hypnotize them, to solve a conflict, to make them agree on something they were stubborn upon, the whole difference is simply what do you believe about your own value as a human being. If you don't think you are that valuable, if you don't think you are that important, then why should others listen to you exactly? And on the reverse, once you have built a stronger foundation for who you are, who you want to, how you want to be seen by others, and what you want others to tell about you, once all of this is more clarified for you, then anything you say will appear and sound much more grounded, much more confident. And you may notice people who tended to ignore you so far may now listen to you with open ears, because they will sense you're not the same person anymore. And this is a topic of the method you can find down below in the description, called The Language of Confidence, that I have launched this week, where basically we take you from the ground, from the basic foundations of who you are, of how do you want to present yourself in your everyday interactions, and we build up better boundaries with you from the inside, and we build up a sense of confidence into anything you say. Then you will have at the end of the method 10 different language patterns that are examples. Doesn't have to be memorized exactly word for word. Those are examples of what I can say, and I give you all the time the context in which I tend to say those things whenever there is a difficult situation to handle. What are the kind of things I say to make that situation come to a resolution? For example, a person who is lacking some confidence in an argument or some tough situation might say, "I'm trying to explain, I'm trying to tell you," even like non-verbally trying to pull something from the person in front of them. And on the reverse, if the same exact phrase comes from a really confident person, that might sound like, "Okay, listen, right now I'm going to tell you something and you are going to remain silent until I've finished. Can I proceed?" Yes? Okay, what I wanted to tell you is, and then whatever you say, now you have the attention, you ground the person in reality right here with you, instead of letting them run their own thoughts of what they're gonna say next, because most people are just not listening to you at all. They're just in their head planning what they will tell you next, and even worse, if it is a conflict, they don't even listen to anything you say at all. Whereas once it comes from a deeply grounded person, more confident person that you can become, then anything you say will attract attention instead of letting it be run by other people around you. So the language patterns contained in this method down below are, again, not necessarily things to memorize word for word, but they are examples of what it sounds like to take the lead into an interaction without having to disrespect anyone, without having to brutalize anyone's unconscious mind or conscious mind. It is simply about building up so much respect for what you think is important that people will naturally share that level of respect for what you say. And that may sound esoteric or philosophical for many people who are not used to communication skills. I can definitely assure you, if what you say doesn't come from a place of power, a place of I know what I say is truly valuable, then no one will really pay attention that much unless they really love you, and even then they might just ignore some of what you say. On the reverse, from a confident person, anything you say makes an impact, sounds more powerful, more interesting, and people want to listen and are getting more compelled about anything you want to share as a message. This method is down below in the description if you want to check it, and in any case, good luck with your skills, and I will see you in the next video.